should be able to see the Property Monitor website. Okay. To log in, always select this orange button over here. For real estate brokers, always select PM. Valuation Hub will be a different subscription for our surveyor partners. So let me now select PM to log into the broker section. For this morning, I've set my training account under the subscription of Beko Properties so that whatever you see in here will be similar to what you actually on your platforms. Okay, so your usernames will always be your office email, and then if at all you go on a long break, you forgot your password, we always have the forgot password over here. So let us now sign in. Okay, guys. So I will walk you through the menus or options available. You may want to take note of these sections. So from the home page or each time you select the Property Monitor logo, you'll be able to see the market on a micro level. This is where all the individual transactions are located. Market analysis, you'll be able to break down the market on a bigger picture. The macro side, you'll be able to analyze transactions, price trends, among many things. Projects and supply will be the place to go to get a better understanding of each project in the market. So whether it be a residential or a commercial property, a ready or an off-plan property will all be on this space over here. More will be the place to see additional tools to help you in your day-to-day operations or business. So I will begin by looking at the market on a micro level. So this is actually one of the most popular sections on Property Monitor by most brokers because it's what they normally use to negotiate with their clients. So whether it be a buyer, a tenant, a landlord, or a seller, this is what they use to get figures to allow them to uh to get better figures for a client. So because if you ask a property owner, perhaps a seller or a landlord, right? If you ask them nowadays, how much do you want for your property? They would normally give you a high price, which is quite natural for them. They always want to maximize their profits, right? However, the conversation is different when you speak to a buyer to a tenant. These type of clients, they want to save, which is why if you ask them, how much do you want for this property? They tend to give you a lower figure, right? Because they all want to save. So let's first understand how did they set that expectations, right? Normally, what they do, they go online. They go to the portals and they think that whatever they see in the portals would be a picture of reality, right? So it's partly true, but they don't get the best picture in the market. Now that you have Property Monitor at your hands, you have power to guide your clients into their buying and selling process, right? So to put it in a better perspective, let's pretend I'm an agent, okay? And I'm currently, let's say, dealing with a potential buyer, okay? This buyer is looking for 4 beds in Maple in Dubai Hills, right? And possibly based on what they saw a 2 million property and he was hoping to get that price, okay? So I will now use the platform over here to get a better understanding. From this, okay, so over here, you first select that type of transaction. We could cover residential sales, commercial sales, rentals will be on this place. Next page over here, you may select the community, sub-community, or specific building name. So the more specific the filters are, the better so that your clients will be able to see comparable units so that they could visualize their potential property over here. So what do we know? We're looking at transactions in Maple in Dubai Hills. In terms of our historical data, our data can go as far back as 2008. But for the purpose of negotiation, do we really need to go as far back as 2008? Perhaps 6 months to 1 year would be, relevant information. However, should you wish to get the historical data, just simply click on the calendar icon over here. You could pull up the historical data over here. We also have the custom range over here. Now, similar to a property portal, we also have advanced options where you could set more filters, right? We have the filters for price, bedroom, and built up size. You could even select the property type over here. So on our example, this client is hoping to get four beds in Maple, let's say for 2 million. So what do we know? Let's pull up four beds over here, four beds maximum, and click on search. Okay, so I will okay, let's get the market overview about Maple in Dubai Hills first. We have a colorful graph over here. Let me just switch off the other lines, okay? So whenever we see active listings, we get to see what our broker partners are advertising online on the portals, right? So it's not portal specific, but it's mainly connected to their CRM systems. We get to see a trend of going up, right? If you want to see completed deals, whether it be done via title deed or via OCUD, we have transferred sales. Overall, you could always expect active listings to be higher than transferred sales, mainly because people always negotiate, which is why we end up with a lower figure. But as you can see, the gap between active listings and transfer sales are quite tight, right? They're narrow, which just shows us that market for Dubai Hills or in Maple might be, too competitive because as a broker, if you advertise your prices a bit high, there might be no calls. However, if you advertise it a bit too low, the room for negotiation might be very, very slim. We also have agreed sales or MOU. Those are the signed contracts between buyer and seller, but it's not a guarantee that the deal will happen because the truth is, some deals do fall off in between. If at all you deal with a finance buyer, we have valuation information on this space. Okay. So that's a quick overview about Maple, but let me now go to the bottom table underneath here, where you get to see all the transactions based on our property search. So a while back, we searched for Maple four beds over the past 1 year. Okay. So we're able to pull up 300 transactions. Okay. On this space over here, it's only displaying 15, but you could always pull up more transactions. So let's try to get all 500. Okay, so let's now break down this table column per column. Okay, so whenever you see evidence date, it shows us as to when the transaction was posted. Data points will show you the different sources of information. Do you want to see active listings? What is advertised by brokers in the market? So when you look at active listings, bear in mind that's simply the asking price of the owner, asking price of the agent. And the sad reality about looking at active listings, there would be the outdated, the fake listings, right? But if you look at pending sales or MOU, these are the signed contracts. So whenever a buyer and seller signs an MOU, our broker partners, they share to us the transactional data, no buyer, no seller information. We get to see when the transaction was happened, at what price. So let's see Maple. So we've got the last contract that we have. We've got January 19. We're looking at Dubai Hills. We're looking at four beds. And based on the recent contracts are being signed at around 4.7, 4.3, right? 2 million is way below. So to manage your buyer's expectations, you can say, Mr. Buyer, I know you want to save, but 2 million seems to be quite unrealistic if you want a four beds in Maple. Here are the signed contracts, and they're happening at around 4 million up. So we could select all the transactions. We could add this later on to our report. Beyond signed agreements, we could also go straight to the finish line. We could either select title deed, or in case you deal with off plan, we have OCUD. We click search. So in terms of what is completed, right? The completion of the deal, we're looking at Dubai Hills. Under sub-community, we could even filter it down to a specific sub-community. Let's say my buyer wants to look into transactions in properties in Maple 2. So I'll be selecting Maple 2 over here. We're all looking at four beds. And based on the transactions, there are transactions, well, this is under 4 million, but everything's above 4 million, right? Under unit size, that is the built-up size. So of course, when you look at different developments, not all four beds are the same. There would be four beds that would have a type A, type B, type C, having different sizes, right? So to narrow it down to a specific built-up size or specific type, you could use you could use this filter. For example, I'm looking at the specific type of 2462. Click on update. We're now looking at all four beds with the same size. You could actually set the filters on this column as well. You could select it, that's type 2E. You could apply the same principle for the plot size. So you could narrow it down to, let's say, plots with similar sizes, right? Now let's go to the right. Under recurrence, there would be two types. Here, as you can see, most of the transactions are happening on the resale market. You get to see the unit number, okay? But on Property Monitor, beyond the unit number, you'll be able to see the sales and history, the sales and rental history for each unit type. So this is quite handy when you deal with sellers, for example. So for example, let's pick a random unit over here. Let's pick Villa 340 over here. Each time you see unit number, just simply click on it. So for this specific villa or townhouse, we're looking at Maple 2, Villa 340. Top section will give you the property details. Second section will give you the sales transaction. So let's look at number 5 over here. A transaction in 2017 via Okud for the amount of 2.7. It was bought initial sale directly from the developer, right? And then items number 4 and 3, two transactions in 2021. We have active listings, which gives us an indicator that the owner um, approached real estate companies and decided to, advertise it for sale and see what type of offers that they could get. But nothing happened from 2021 up until December of last year, 2023. We have two transactions happening on the same date. So first transaction, we get to see transaction via title deed for the amount of 4.7. So that is the amount sold or the purchase amount. And then the second transaction, we get to see mortgage transaction. So this tells us that the buyer in this case is a finance buyer. So they bought it at 4.7 and they got a finance of 3.9. So just imagine if you're speaking to a seller without asking the owner so much information. If you look at this data, you know how much they bought it for. You know how much mortgage they have they got from the bank. Beyond sales, you get to see rental transactions. You get to see the start and end date of the tenancy contract. You get to see if it's an active listing as well. You get to see if it's a rental contract or a JARI. You get to see the amount. And rent recurrence will tell you it's either a new tenant on board or renewals would be the same tenant renewing the next year. So next, we go to unit type, right? So whenever we talk about residential properties, unit type would always be apartments, townhouses, or villas, right? But on Property Monitor, we get to see a number underneath. So what does that number represent? So if you want to know where the property is located, just simply click on this number over here. It allows you to see the villa or the location of the property on Google Maps. You could show the client the entry and exit points from the development. You could show the client if it's near the park, near the golf course, near the lake, among many things, right? So you could actually use this to do you can say a virtual viewing before actually inspecting the property. So that's looking at title deed transactions. Let's go back to data points. So let me first select items over here. Let's include the items on the report. If at all you see any odd transaction, by the way, guys, let's say a distress sale or perhaps an overpriced property that you don't want to include, you have the option to untick that box. The control is with you over which items to share or not. So let's go back to the data points. If at all your client or your buyer is a finance buyers always ask the question, how much do you think will the bank value my property? You could then always go to valuation average. So this data comes from our surveyors in the market. These are the people commissioned by the bank to get a fair market value. So recent valuation on February 2024, we have a range of 4.4 to 4.6 based on this built up size. It gives us, a better picture of how much the bank will value the property. So we could include this data. And then I don't advise you guys to look into mortgage registration because this amount that you see under mortgage registration will reflect the amount financed by the bank to the buyer. It will not reflect the property value. Okay, so wait. Okay, so that's the amount financed. Gifting is a DLD transaction for any property inherited to a family member. So let's go back to title deed and pending sale. So if you notice, we have selected several items here, right? So how do we share this information to a client? All you have to do is go to the export button over here. You may extract this data via Excel in case you'd like to do your own computations, create your own graphs. But the quick and easiest way would be export to PDF. Let's do that right now. So this report, PDF report, is called the area pricing report, which is both available in English and Arabic. Your names will be over here. We have your company name, and to help you connect better with your client, you could personalize it to your client's name. So for example, my client's name is Andrew. It's a property in Maple, Dubai Hills. By default, we have a picture of Dubai Marina. But my advice, if you're an area specialist, have a picture of your area saved somewhere on your computer so you could always make this picture, this report relevant to your area. We also have pre-populated page. I'll show you how they look like later on, but you always have the option to untick that box in case you'd like to remove them. Let's now click on submit. Let's see how a typical report would look like from Property Monitor. Okay, apologies for that. Okay, so here's how a typical report will look like from Property Monitor. It will always contain the branding of your company. So with your company colors and logo, cover image, we have this. You could set that accordingly. Your names will be on this space. We have your company name. We've got your client's name as well. Then we go to the second page. So this second page would be, very relevant to a new person that's new to the area. We have a short write-up about the community. We have the facilities and amenities. Next page, it's all about the schools, right? So we're using Dubai Hills as reference. If at all you generate a report for, let's say, Business Bay, for Dubai Marina, for the pond, it would map out all schools from that reference point. So it is quite handy whenever you deal with families, right? Because with families, you've got kids to consider. And part of the factors that they look into when they decide would be the schools. Where can I send my kids to school? So we've got all the schools from that's nearby Dubai Hills. we've got the type of school, we've got the distance from point A to point B. Now, beyond schools, our clients would always ask, how far is the distance from point A to point B, from Dubai Hills in this case, going to the different sites of the city. We've got the expo site, we've got the theme parks, we've got the cycling course, down to the mall so that your clients will be able to figure out the distance from point A to point B. And then next over here, we're looking at signed contracts. So what contracts are being signed in the market for Maple, right? We're looking at the recent transactions, all four beds. And a while back, if the client was hoping to get 2 million, 2 million seems to be far off from what they can, from what is happening in the market. So transactions are happening, or contracts are being signed at above 4 million, right? But guys, when you're looking at contracts ideally would like to, I would like all contracts to finish into a transfer, but the sad reality, some contracts do fall off in between for many reasons. And then we have title deed transactions. These are the completed deals. We get to see when these were transacted. In this case, we're looking at specifically in Maple 2, four bed specific to this built up size. And then here are the recent transactions. By showing your clients numbers, they would have a better understanding as to how much prices are going for this area. So if you're dealing with the seller, nowadays sellers are always asking for a high price. You could always show them these transactions. Let's say if the client was asking for 6 million or 5 million, show them these numbers, show them that if you are keen on selling the property, transactions are happening on this level. So we also have valuation information over here, which is applicable for finance buyers. Next page, we have a short write-up about your company. Remember, we always tell our clients, we are your partners in the business. So on this page, this is our own little way of helping you promote your brand in the market. We have a short write-up about your company. And then, of course, beyond the branding of your company, as an agent, as a broker, you also represent your own personal brand, right? We want to promote you on your area. So in this space, we have your picture in this place. We have a short write about yourself. And then very important, guys, whenever you write your profile, make it a point to have your contact details, mobile number, email address, so that wherever these reports go, your clients will be able to connect with you. And then last page, something about Property Monitor. So in case your clients might ask, who are these guys? You could always tell them that Property Monitor is our partners in the business that allow us to get visibility on different transactions in the market. Okay. So you could also tell them Property Monitor is an independent body which give us an unbiased opinion or information about the market. So that's for sales. Let's do something quick for rentals, okay? So to do rentals, simply shift sales to rentals. Let's keep Dubai Hills. Let's keep 1 year. Let's keep four beds and click on search. The concept will be practically the same, except that rentals will be a lot simpler. So let me now walk you through the bottom table over here. What do I mean by simple? We only have active listings and we only have rental contracts. So if I want to see how much contracts are being signed in this area, I select rental contracts. I get to see the start and end date of the tenancy contract. So for example, if you are trying to negotiate with the landlord to bring in a new tenant, I always advise my clients to select new contract under rent recurrence over here. Why is that so? Because if you guys include renewals will give you a low figure mainly because it is limited by the RERA rent calculator. So we're looking at new contracts. Let's see how much contracts are being signed. So in terms of the value, we have the annualized figure, and then we have the contract value. What's the difference, right? So in the market, a lot of people would think that it's always for 1 year, but the reality is there would be contracts signed for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, at times 1 year and 3 months, 1 year and 7 months, right? But of course, to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges, we get the annualized figure. So to manage your client's expectations, you get to see how much new contracts are signed in for Maple in this case. To share the information, it's again practically the same. You may extract it via Excel or PDF. The reports will be similar, but this time it would contain rental information. So far, so good, guys. So let's now move into the analysis stage. So let's go to sales transaction analysis over here. So there are many ways of using this space over here. Let's start by let's say from a buyer's perspective once again. Okay, so we do get clients wherein buyers would say, "I'm looking for a residential property." It could either be a ready property or an off-plan property. But what I do know is I have a budget for let's say 4 million, and I'm looking for 3 beds for my family. Where can 4 million take me for 3 beds, right? So again, it's all about setting the filters. We select residential. We select all areas in Dubai. Do they want off plan or do they want title deed, right? Let's just select title deed over here. Now we're midway to February. Let's look at, for example, January transactions, or you could select your custom date. Okay. So we have a client, a buyer who's got 4 million to spend, looking for 3 million. The question is, where can 3 million take me? Can you guide me to which areas I can actually afford? So let's skip this other graphs over here. So we've got, let's say, two currencies. We've got price per square feet and we've got the full budget. So let's get average deals over here. Okay, so what do we know? Clients looking for 3 beds. We said 3 beds for villas or townhouse, 3 beds for apartments. Let's see where 4 million takes the client. So over here, we have all the areas, right? So it's a long graph, but let's see. We could always highlight a space over here so we could guide the client as to where 4 million takes them in terms of villas. We could apply the same for apartments. So, Mr. Buyer, 4 million. If you're looking for 3 beds, you could possibly consider in VIP or sustainable city. If they're keen on, let's say, buying a 3 beds in Arabian Ranches, perhaps they might need to increase their budget a little above 4 million. But if they consider apartments, where can they get 3 beds with 4 million? They could get 3 beds in the hills. We've got Dubai Harbor, we've got Soba Heartland, right? So this is a quick overview. And then let's say, oh, I'm quite interested with Dubai Creek Harbor. Let's see where transactions are. What can I get in Dubai Creek Harbor? Let's go for building for building. So from this space, you could then direct your clients back to the homepage, break down the transactions for Dubai Creek Harbor. Okay. So that's from a buyer side. At times, as a real estate agency or as a new agent in the market, right? We've not yet figured out our strategy, right? So my strategy is I want to be where the transactions are, right? I'd like to, focus on specific areas. I like to specialize on specific areas, but where are the deals happening? So once again, I select residential. You could pick Dubai overall. You could select your specific community in case you're an area specialist. Let's once again look at title deed transactions, or in case you're an off-plan specialist, you could select off-plan over here. History, do we want to see developer sale or do we want the secondary market? Let's look at overall over here. Let's study what's been selling last January. And then let's say I'm an agent who deals with the apartment market. Let me select this type over here. So where are the deals happening in Dubai for the month of January? So based on our filters, we gathered a little above 3,000 transactions for apartments. Where are the deals happening? So this graph will show us all the areas where the deals happen, right? So again, it's a long tail, but you could always highlight a specific range. So let's highlight this range. We gather that Business Bay is, selling the most in terms of title deeds, followed by JVC, International City, and Dubai Marina and downtown. So, for example, I want to specialize in downtown. I want to see where people are buying, what's the budget of people, and which projects are quite popular in this area. So what I'll do, I'll simply click on the downtown graph over here. So from Dubai, we're now diving in deep into downtown itself. We're making it specific, right? So within downtown, we got 158 transactions. It represents 5% of the overall market share. Within downtown, a lot of the deals are happening in the downtown district, followed by Opera District, and Old Town next. So if I want to see where in downtown specifically are the deals happening, I want to be where the deals are. So from Dubai, we went to downtown. Now we're looking at the specific downtown district, right? So we have a very colorful pie chart to show us where the deals are happening. So to break it down easier, we could always select the export button over here. So by the way, guys, you could always download any graphs over here towards your reports, your marketing campaigns on different formats. But on this morning, we'll select data table. We get to see that the bulk of the deals are happening in Southridge, followed by the Lofts, 29 Boulevard, Burj Royal, Bellevue Towers, right? So downtown is a huge area to cover. But if I want to specialize on specific buildings, based on the data that we have, Southridge, the Lofts, 29 Boulevard, Burj Royal might be the popular choice. So I may want to focus on these areas, right? So let's say I want to study the market for, let's say, 29 Boulevard. So I'll select 29 Boulevard over here. So what's the market like? What's the profile of buyers? What type of units are they buying? So we go to the sales price mix. What's the budget of people buying in this building, right? 42.9, three transactions each. So people with a budget of 1.5 to 2 million are buying in this building, followed by 2 million to 3 million. So that's the range of buyers in that area. In terms of bedroom mix, 87% of the time, people are buying one beds in 29 Boulevard, and there's a single transaction of two beds, right? So as a specialist, if I want to focus on 29 Boulevard, it might be good to have a huge inventory of one beds because people are mainly buying one beds on that building. And then over here, it gives a summary of all the transactions. And then at this table over here, it gives us a breakdown of each transaction within 29 Boulevard. It tells us that it's mainly resale, and we get to see that it seems that the 01 units might be the popular choice. If I select the unit number over here, it shows me sales and rental history, like what we saw a while back. Under unit type, if we select the number, it shows us where exactly downtown is on Google Maps. That allows me to show the client where exactly it is. So we also have zoning regulations, by the way, guys, if at all you're selling plots, right? So whenever you're selling plots, zoning regulations will tell you if it's for residential or commercial use. It will tell you if it's intended for G plus 1, G plus 20, G plus 50. In this case, we've got unlimited height. So sky's the limit. So over here, you get to filter the number of bedrooms. Okay. But you notice there's only one filter over here. Now, in case you'd like to break down individual transactions, guys, you may use the homepage or simply click on the logo to break down individual transactions. All right. So that's for sales transaction analysis. I would skip rental analysis because the concept will be practically the same, but the terminology will be different. I will now take you to indices and trends. So over here, we will not have a crystal ball to predict the future. However, We could use historical data to guide us as to which areas might be good in terms of capital appreciation, which areas might be good for rental yields. Okay. So for sales growth, you could set the filter for sales growth over here. We have rentals and rental yields will be on this space. Let's start with sales transactions. So nowadays, people are buying mainly because of sales price growth, right? We're looking at transactions with January as reference because we're still midway February. So February deals are not yet complete. What we did on Property Monitor, we broke down the city of Dubai into different communities. We've got everything in alphabetical order. Different types would simply be apartments and villas. And in terms of price movements, we're looking at the past 1 year. That's January of this year compared to January of the previous year. Last month would be January 2024 comparing to December of 2023. Overall, you could pretty much see that transactions are very much green, right? So market's good, very good nowadays. So let's look at different areas. So we get to see Blue Waters, which is a very, premium location. Over the past 1 year, prices have grown by 32%. So if you bought a property last year and if you plan to sell it, prices have grown by 32% over the past 1 year. Over the past 1 month, it's grown by 3%. Let's look at different areas. Let's say downtown Dubai, 16% or 17% over the past 1 year, a little close to one over the past 1 month. Let's look at Dubai Sports City, 25% for villas and apartments, so which is quite popular. So once again, if you'd like to share this, you could always extract it from this button over here via Excel or via PDF. Now, in case the conversation is all about rental yields, we select sales, we select the yields on this space, click on search. And normally, whenever people talk about rental yields, it would be the affordable areas that would command a good rental yield, right? So let's use Blue Waters as an example a while back. Blue Waters is more popular for the sales growth over rental yields. If I am looking at rental yields, I normally look at the past 12 months because rentals are at least good for 1 year. So for Blue Waters, rental yields will be close to 5%. So Blue Waters more popular on the sales growth, not so much on the rental yields. Rental yields would be quite popular on, let's say, Discovery Gardens. You get to see it's not as premium as Blue Waters, the Palm, but in the beauty of Discovery Gardens would be on the rental yields. You've got 9% for over the past 1 year. So another area that's quite popular for rental yields would be Dubai Sports City, very affordable and high rental yields. We also have JVC 6.9 or 7% for both villas and apartments, right? So this space will allow you to guide your clients as to where prices are growing so fast, or you could guide them in terms of rental yields. Okay. So that's market analysis for you. So we've gone through the market on a micro and a macro level. So this time I'm gonna let's forget about transactions. Let's study different projects in the market, right? So this space will cover both ready and off-plan commercial and residential properties. So if you'd like to know a specific, get more information about the specific project, if you know the name, you could select the name over here. Let's type in, for example, let's go to the Palm. Let's go to uh, Como Residences, for example. So if I specialize in the Palm, what is Como Residence all about? It's a project in the Palm. The developer is Nakhil. And then any developer supplied marketing collateral will be available for download on this space. So let's download, let's see what's available. You could download the brochure, the payment plan, and the floor plans. You could download them on Property Monitor and then put your company branding on it so that if at all you share these reports, it will always contain your brand. So what else do we know about Il Primo? It's a project launched last year in April. According to the developer, it will be ready on September of 2027. At the moment, 0% tells us it's pure groundwork. So in case the client, some developers might say, our project is gonna be handed over this month. But if the percentage of completion shows us it's 90%, 95, I don't think handover will happen because for rear side, they would need the project to be 100% complete before handover can happen. So we have a short write-up about Como residence. We have the different facilities and amenities within this project. You could show the client where exactly it is in the palm. Similar to the report we've seen a while back, we've got the distance from point A to point B using Como residence as the reference. And then if at all you deal with off-plan properties, questions about payment plans will be available on this space. So 20% upon booking, 60% during construction, and upon handover, 20% is due. So in case clients might ask, is there a post handover payment plan for common residents? The answer is no. You could say 20% is due upon handover. And then in terms of unit configuration, purely residential, the bulk of it would be 4 beds. And then the smallest unit would be 2 beds. So in case clients might ask, would there be studios? Would there be 1 beds in common residence? The answer is no. We have these units and a breakdown of each unit is available in here on a table format. So we get to see 2 bed, in terms of 6 and 7 beds, 2 units only within the building. So these are rare units. And what we have here would be a breakdown of each unit within Como residence. So as an agent, how does this help me? So for example, I meet a seller who wants to sell their property in Como residence, right? So the seller says, Joseph, I've got a property in Como residence. Can you help me sell my property? I don't carry my documents with me, but I can give you that the unit number is in, let's say, 2302. I go to search over here, type in 2302. Oh, there's no 2302. Let's go to 2301. So 2301, I get to see it's a 4 beds. Size in square meters, size in square feet. We've got the balcony size over here. If you're looking at apartments, if at all you're looking for a townhouse or villas, this would be the plot size, common area, down to the specific parking allocation, right? So while we're on this space, I'll show you a little shortcut. This is one of my favorite sections on Property Monitor. I go to more, I go to building units data. It's very similar to projects and supply, but this will just simply tell you building configuration. You go to Como residence as well. So this is a good place to look into if you want to bypass transactions. You want to see the unit history for specific units. So in here, we're looking at Como residence, a total of 72 floors, similar to what we saw, a combination of 2 to 7 beds, residential, similar to what we saw a while back. And over here is a much more detailed picture of each unit within the building. And the good part is under unit number, if you select that number, oh, no OCUD right now, so there's no transaction. Over here, you could even identify where are the 7 beds, where are the 5 beds. So in this case, let's look for the 5 beds. Where are the 5 beds on this area? You have the unit numbers over here, right? You could also apply the same principle over here, but the filters are not that direct. You could simply arrange the order of the bedrooms in ascending or descending order, but it's not as direct as the other page. Okay, so that's project supply. So another way of using this space will be as a broker, whether I'm dealing with sales or leasing, right? Let's say I want to identify which projects that will be delivered soon. I want to identify which projects are around 85 or 90% ready. Because if I'm a sales agent, perhaps at that stage, some investors would like to sell their property, get the premium, and then sell the property before handover so that they could escape the handover payment. From a leasing perspective, right? Leasing agents would like to get keys upon handover so that by the time the owner gets the keys, who knows, they might have a ready tenant, right? And because mainly because everyone likes to move to a brand new unit. So how do we identify what's gonna be ready soon? So we go to supply tracker over here. I select upcoming supply. Let's see what's up and coming for 2024. Let's hide the tracker. Again, we broke down the city of Dubai into different communities. Let's say what's up and coming in, for example, Arjan. Within Arjan, we have all the different projects. We have the different developers. And then on this space over here, percentage of completion. So we get to see that 91% Prime Gardens by Prescott will be ready soon, right? Launched last year. Let's look at different areas as well. Let's look at Business Bay next. Within Business Bay, we have different projects by these different developers. And in terms of completion, 94, 96. Icon City, Marble Arch Tower. Perhaps, you may want to network with these developers and with the owners of these projects or owners of these apartments, network with it, and perhaps they might want to, list their properties with you. Now, one limitation that we have over here is we will not be able to verify canceled projects. So to verify canceled projects, you may have to go direct to RERA to verify if the project has been canceled or not. However, on our platform, we could tell you, well, we could give you clues if a project has been canceled or not. So for example, if you see a project on Property Monitor that was launched in, let's say, 2014, okay, 10 years after, if the percentage of completion tells us it's still 20% complete, it gives us an indication that something is not right. So we try to avoid that. And if you'd like to do your further investigations to validate if it's canceled or not, you could then go to RERA. Okay. So next we go to developer directory. So on Property Monitor, we work with all the developers in the market, big or small, right? So all their names are arranged in alphabetical order. Let's say you want to know the projects, all the projects of EMAR. We go to E over here. We select EMAR. Over here, we get to see that they've got 89 ongoing, 191 ready projects. And then by selecting the logo, it then shows you all their projects. The top half will show you the ongoing ones. Second half will show you the completed projects. So in case you pulled up a big developer such as EMAR, right? You could always select the list view. From 10, you could go to 100 entries so that in a single view, you get to see all their projects arranged in alphabetical order, the type of projects, completion, percentage, and then by selecting on view, it shows you project-specific information. Now, another way this page is used, for example, let's say I am an air specialist, right? Which airs have we gone, have we not visited? Let's say, let's go to Dapong, for example. If I'm an air specialist in Dapong and I want to identify who are the different developers operating in my area so that I get to network with these developers. So I have selected Dapong, click on search. So over here, we get to see different developers operating in Dapong, right? So for example, let's say I want to see the projects of, let's say, Omnia in Dapong, right? Over here, it shows that they've got 4 ongoing, 11 ready, but that is for the entire city of Dubai. But if I select the logo of Omnia, within Dapong, it shows me they've got 3 ongoing and then 1 ready project. If you want to see project specific information, you then simply click select on view and then it pulls up project specific information. Okay, so we've gone through these sections. We're almost down to the tail end. Let's go to more this time. So let's go to market analysis report. So what we also do on Property Monitor, we give you our monthly market insights to give you, our own unbiased opinion about the market. So as of now, January is still being finalized. Let me show you how December looks like. So it's a bit of a read, guys. It's 7 pages worth. My advice is whenever you're having your break time, your free time, have a read of what's available on this monthly market report. Again, we always tell our clients we are your partners in the business. If you see any insights, any graph that might help you in your business, whether you want to advertise it on social media, use it towards your marketing campaigns, guys, feel free to use this data, this graph, this insight from Property Monitor. Just don't forget to mention us as a source of data. So I will let you read this section later on your free time. So beyond monthly market report, what else can I show you? I've shown you building units data. Let me show you service charges next. So service charges is a common question, common discussion between buyers and sellers, right? So on this page, we've got it broken into two parts. We've got the net yield, or some people call it the ROI calculator. We have the service charges for most of the ready properties. So to identify service charges for a ready property, you go to search. For example, let's go to um, Princess Tower in Marina. So Princess Tower, we've got different types having different service charges, which is always price per square feet. From Dubai Marina, let's go to JLT. Let's go to Bonington. Different types would have different service charges. From Bonington, let's go to Sahil in Arabian Ranches. Sahil in Arabian Ranches gives us the service charge. So this page is pretty much straightforward. So let's go to net yield calculator next. So how do we use this? For example, if you know the project specific, let's go to Ocean Heights in Dubai Marina. Ocean Heights. Let's select apartments. So apartments for this project would have service charge of 20 dirhams per square feet. Let's say it was bought at, let's say, 2.1 million and currently renting out for 95,000. And the unit size is, let's say, 900 square feet. Click on submit. Based on our inputs, we gather that the owner is paying 8,000 yearly for the service charge, and they're getting a net return of close to 4%. By selecting download PDF, you'll be able to share a report to your client so that clients could have an idea as to how much service charge are they paying. Once again, it's got your company branding over there. So that's for service charges. Next, I want to show you lease date calculator. So this is quite handy if you deal with leasing. So at this point, let's say we've closed the tenancy contract between landlord and tenant. The tenant now asks, Joseph, to whom shall I write the checks to? And during the time when I was an agent, a lot of times tenants tend to make a mistakes on the check. So to minimize the mistakes, I will use the lease date calculator. So how many checks is the tenant paying? Let's say 4 checks. It's a yearly contract. How much are they paying? Let's say they're paying 80,000. When do they move in? Let's say they move on March 1st, next month. By default, we have 5% deposit, 5% agency fee. Let's say the apartment is fully furnished. We then move 5 to 10%. Deposit becomes 10% of 80 is 8,000. 5% of 80,000 gives us an agency fee of 4,000. So if you're an agent that takes nothing less than 5,000 for your service fees, you could bypass a percentage by entering the figure over here. So in this case, I've entered 5,000. Make it a point to add VAT on your services because it's a commercial transaction. You could mention the landlord name. Let's say the landlord name is Joseph. Your commission check always payable to your company. Select the type of transaction. It's a residential rent. If at all you deal with commercial rentals, for commercial rentals, VAT is applicable on the rent amount. But in this case, let's keep it residential. So let's remove VAT. Click on submit. Let's download PDF once again. And over here, we have a sample of the checks that you could share to the tenant. You could tell the tenant, tenant, get your checkbook and copy the same information that you see on these checks and don't forget to sign. First two checks, current dated, security deposit payable to the landlord. We've got the amount in words and figures. Commission check payable to the company. We've got the amount in words and figures. And the four checks broken down into four equal parts. We have the date as well. They move in on March 1. The system automatically did the computations for you so that you'll have more time to focus on your next deal. And we're almost at the tail end, guys. So let me show you this space over here. So let's say after the training session, let's say you have questions on Property Monitor later on, you could always drop us a message through this feedback option. And then by selecting on dashboard, I'll show you where to update your profiles on this space over here so that you could personalize all the reports. So click on edit profile. Guys, just fill up the necessary information that's applicable. And then about me will be the place as to where you could update your personal brand, your profile. You don't have to make a long story. Keep it brief, keep it concise. You could mention your professional experience, the language you speak, which areas that you cover, and very important, your contact details because we want all clients to have ways to connect with you. And once you've taken your corporate photos, you may upload it on this space over. Just simply select choose file, upload your photo, and then click on submit. And by doing so, each time you produce a PDF report on Property Monitor, it will now contain your personal brand. And on that note, that's the end of our training session. So you could say the floor is now open for any questions that you may have, guys. So yeah, just raise your hand and then I will call your name in case you have any questions. Ah, no questions, guys. Okay. So if there are no questions, what I'll do, I'll share the recording to your admins. I just need a small favor from you guys. If you could kindly, on the message box, if you could kindly send, write the names of your company so that I could identify um, who attended this session, so that I could send this recording to your admins, please. So I've got White Will. So I've got Val. Who else do we have on today's session? So I know Anna from Beko Properties. Okay. So yeah, if there are no more questions, yeah, I'll stop the recording. So it will take time to wrap up. So after the recording, I will share to your corresponding admins.